So you guys have probably heard that 2 days ago, the Fed raised interest rates yet again, half a point, to almost the highest level in 15 years. So what does that mean? You guys probably heard me talk in previous episodes about the M&A environment for just tech companies, right? For just companies like Lunchbox, and where we see that going. But what about restaurants? What about franchisees? So because the interest rates have, risen again, franchisees are going to have a tough time getting loans, right? Because loans have become more expensive. And companies are eager right now to expand through franchising, but they're going to have a tougher time, right? Because they're not able to accomplish their goals the same way that they were before, which means that they might have to force to an exit. So given this situation, I think in the beginning of 2023, maybe like Q1, Q2, we're going to start seeing, restaurants and specifically franchisees looking to sell their business, just given the market. So kind of just wanted to hear from everyone what their thoughts were there and where we kind of see, maybe the next company that's looking to have franchisees, what is their exit plan and where do we see that going?
I mean, why would they? Why would franchisees want to sell their franchise? I mean, why would they want to do that?
So because it's becoming harder to get loans, right? So that that correlates to actually being able to, open up restaurants because nobody's doing it for, you know, all of their cash, right? With all their cash.
Of course, um, unless you're Nabil's Meals, I guess. Um, then you are 4 hours, crazy 4 hours a day. That's insane. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think buying has become a lot more expensive for a lot of these franchisees, right? So I don't know, and I'm always intrigued by the exit strategy conversation because to me, if you run a good restaurant that runs itself, I mean, don't you just want to keep it, right? Especially if it's a franchise. It also depends on what franchise too. I mean, it's such a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess a follow-up question to that is like we've seen restaurant, M&A or restaurant partnership happen so much throughout the course of maybe like 2 years ago. So where do you guys kind of see the next, big brands kind of partner up with each other? Or maybe do you guys foresee some brands buying other maybe small concepts over the next quarters?
Yeah, it's certainly a more interesting conversation, right? Because of how much liquidity some uh, brand groups have compared to some of their smaller counterparts. So there definitely could be. I mean, look, Yum bought Habit Burger not too long ago, right? And I'll talk about that in my section. But the idea there was like, they've got one of each. They've got fried chicken. They've got Taco Bell, which is famous amongst Gen Z. Um, and this is their fourth brand, which is a burger brand. So I guess it just really depends what groups are out there, like an RBI or something that are looking for their next brand. But not everyone's going to get a golden parachute. I mean, there's not that many people acquiring. So it'll definitely be interesting. Whoever does get acquired will be extremely lucky, and the ones that are left behind, not necessarily they'll do bad. I just think it'll take some time, and you know, the good news is that consumer price index is up 7% apparently year over year. So uh, maybe the sales will carry them over. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the sales carry the restaurants through this, but that's being optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, if what we're talking about does, like you're saying, does happen, like, whether it be franchises or brands look to go and have an exit the next year, I think there's a lot of really interest. It's an interesting environment, one just because of the technology that's out there right now, and within some of these smaller groups, maybe that would be exiting or whatever it might be, um, they might not have that technology foothold in there, and so these larger brands might go and acquire these other brands and try to like accelerate them. One with the tech that they have, but two with like also with the resources that they have. And so yeah, I think that maybe you could like. I'd like to see how this influences either on like a regional scale, like in certain areas, like certain regional brands getting acquired, versus also just like uh, uh, you know versus just at a national scale. Um, yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, Gabby, people just might end up getting smarter about it too. I was talking to California Grill yesterday. They're like West Coast based company, and they're doing what I would recommend a lot of chains to do, which is they're working with cloud kitchens, right? And they're working to open up ghost concepts for their main brand in certain areas, testing out the waters, the best brands, and then going into the brick and mortar mode. And at that time, whenever they bring out a franchisee, they can point to sales and say, hey, this is what I have. That's why they're also looking at a first party ordering system, because they're like, we want to know who the customer is. So maybe people just get smarter about expansion too. Like they get really deliberate about opening up a ghost kitchen, testing things out, and then you put the money in, and maybe you can, you're the banker here, so you tell me. Maybe I'll get better terms on my store if I actually know what's going to sell, or I can prove it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that that is definitely kind of an area that restaurants can explore, just given the situation. And yeah, like it's a lot easier to kind of have those concepts than if you have like a full-on brick and mortar, restaurant going.